It seemed to be a marriage made in heaven. Robert Sangster, Europe's high-flying top owner of the late 70s and early 80s, enjoyed non-stop success and a lifestyle to match.
Been a good party at Aspinall.
Right, 35 to 1. He must be in shock.
In 1977 and 78, Alleged and the Minstrel swept the board.
But it's Hotgrove from the Minstrel and Blushing Groom. Then Monseigneur moving into fourth. They're racing into the closing stages now. And it's Hotgrove from the Minstrel, Blushing Groom and Monseigneur. 100 yards to run in the Derby. The Minstrel coming to challenge Hotgrove. And it's Lester Piggott and William Carson. The Minstrel on the near side, Hotgrove on the now side. And the Minstrel wins it from Hotgrove. Blushing Groom is third. They're racing towards the furlong pole now, and it's Orange Bay who strikes the front. It's Orange Bay now from the Minstrel. Excella putting in a great run towards the stand side. It's Orange Bay being tackled by the Minstrel and Excella. And as they race into the closing stages, it's the Minstrel from Orange Bay and Excella racing up towards the line. The Minstrel from Orange Bay and Excella. And as they come to the line, the Minstrel wins it from Orange Bay. It's a photo finish.
Hit the front. It's Alleged now, being chased by Trillian and Willie Shoemaker. Then Fairbasil and Dancing Maid. It's Alleged as they race into the final 150 yards. Alleged from Trillian and Dancing Maid and Fairbasil. Alleged looks as though he's going to win it. Alleged coming to the line now from Trillian in second, and Alleged is holding Trillian as they come to the line. Alleged wins it from Trillian and Dancing Maid third.
But in the 80s, the brilliant Vincent O'Brien started to wind down his operation, reducing his number of horses by half. So Sangster decided on a UK training base. After Watcombe was rejected, Sangster settled on the magnificent 2,500-acre Manton estate near Marlborough in Wiltshire. Meanwhile, a thrusting young national hunt trainer was building a legend for himself in the north. A young man in a hurry, Michael Dickinson became champion trainer in only his second season at the age of 32, and then accomplished perhaps the greatest achievement in national hunt history, saddling the first 5 home in the Go Cup.
Bregon is in the lead from Captain John, challenging on the near side. Bregon lands over it, Captain John second, then Wayward Lad racing into the closing stages. And it's Bregon being challenged by Wayward Lad, Captain John on the near side. Bregon being pressed now by Captain John. Bregon striding up to the line to win it. Bregon wins the Gold Cup. Second is Captain John and third is Wayward Lad. And fourth is going to be Silverbuck. And he's going to achieve the fifth because Ashley House runs on to be fifth.
The famous 5, and almost inevitably Sangster and the young genius came together. After 18 months of rebuilding and streamlining the traditional gallops and an outlay of £14 million, Manton was all set to go in April this year. Everything was new, and complete new stable complex of 60 boxes. There was a covered ride, a brand new feed house with ultra-modern accessories, and a new barn for lunging yearlings. But it took until September the 16th for the stable to saddle its first winner. And soon there were rumours of an impending split, denied by Sangster at the time.
Certainly not, no. Purely inventive journalism.
A misunderstanding, obviously.
Well, no misunderstanding. The journalist got it out of the air. I mean, he certainly didn't interview Michael Dickinson, he certainly didn't interview me. Michael's got a contract until 1990. As far as I'm concerned, that will be on him.
But on Monday this week, the threatened bust-up between Sangster and Dickinson finally came to a head. Within 24 hours, Barry Hills, Sangster's longtime friend and hitherto based at Lambourne, was installed. But But Hills will be at Manton in a different capacity to Dickinson. He'll be running the stable as his own business. Today, on his first day as the new master of Manton, I asked Hills what were his plans for the stable.
Well, I came across here at 9 o'clock this morning, and it's quite mind-boggling looking around it, and I'll have to take a few days to sort it all out. But I must say the place is fantastic.
Obviously, a great deal of money has been spent on the place. Do you plan any immediate modifications?
Well, Mr. Sangster has said that he will do this particular yard we're standing in now up for me, and which there are 37 boxes, and I'd very much like to use the old yard because I feel it stood the test of time and is proven. Obviously there's quite a bit of renovation to be done, especially the ventilation to be put back in, but the boxes themselves are perfectly adequate.
What's the situation with the staff here?
Well, I've spoken to 5 of the senior staff here this morning and quietly explained to them the situation, and they will then relay it on to the other staff. For me to say that at this moment is too early. I don't even know how many girls or boys or what weight they are, or the capabilities in riding or anything like that at the moment. So that's a thing that'll have to be sorted out over the next few days.
The place has been christened Fort Manton in the last year. Do you plan to maintain the high level of security?
Not quite, no. I'm interested in training winners. I want to train a lot of winners, and I've got some very nice horses to bring here for other owners, and Robert's got some very nice horses, and that's the prime concern. Look after the gallops and the horses and win some races.
How many horses will you have here?
Roughly, I should think, probably 120, I don't know. There are 60 boxes in the new yard that was recently built. There are 44 boxes in the yearling unit, which will be turned into a training yard. The yearlings will be broken somewhere else next year, probably. And in this particular yard, there are 37 boxes, and we'll see how we get on with those, so we'll do it step by step.
And what will happen to your remaining horses at Lambourne?
Well, my son, John, is 26. He's been with me several years, and he spent some time with John Gosden in America, and a year with Colin Hayes, and he's had a fairly good grounding. He spent 7 years with Tom Jones at Newmarket, and anyone can stand that is probably going to stand most things, including me. So I would be very confident that he would be able to carry on there, and I should keep the place in its entirety. And probably John will start with 30 to 50, 60 horses, I don't know.
Obviously, Manton is an exceptional establishment. Why do you feel that Michael Dickinson failed?
Well, from what I've seen walking around here this morning, he hasn't failed in too much for what he's done in building the establishment, so it's probably its finest level. I mean, he's achieved in the layout of the place an awful lot. And I don't think that he probably didn't have a very good deal in the first year, having 4 winners and having a load of 2-year-olds that were probably backward anyway. I think he'll go on and probably train thousands of more winners, I would imagine.
Do you have any reservations about the place?
No, it's a challenge, and I'm looking forward to it. A lot of work to be done, and obviously it's a lot to think of and take in 36 hours, which is basically what it's been.
And how confident are you that you can succeed where Michael failed?
Well, I'm confident in one thing that I understand down as having trained at Lambourne for a long time, and I think that will help in its own right. And I've got a horse sense, and I'm sure I'll train plenty of winners, don't you worry about that.
The finest training stables in the world is here at Manton, high on the downs above Marlborough in Wiltshire. 40 classic winners have been trained here by Alec Taylor Senior and Junior, and later by Joe Lawson, and finally by George Todd. Now under the stewardship of Barry Hills, Manton has returned to its former glory. Less than 3 years ago, Robert Sangster, who owns Manton, made Barry Hills an offer he couldn't refuse.
Well, in fact, I'd had sort of 48 hours because Charles Benson, Robert's friend, had rung me up and asked me on Robert's behalf that he'd be interested in asking me to go to Manton, and really it didn't take me very long. I mean, it's a place you dreamed of coming to, and having known what Robert had spent on it previously by Michael, and there would obviously be everything there conceivably you would want to train a racehorse. And so when we had the lunch on the Tuesday, I accepted and took over the following morning.
Manton was bought by Robert Sangster from John Bloomfield in 1984 and now offers a marvellous and unique blend of old and new. The American-style barns, built 5 years ago, are equipped with every conceivable modern aid for the welfare of horses. The original yard, in contrast, dates back to 1870. This year, over 160 racehorses are trained here at Manton, and Barry Hills employs a staff of 100 to look after them.
I think there's 97 people live on the place. That includes wives and children. And then there are 4 maintenance people, there's 4 gallop men. Snowy Houghton runs the Manton house yard, which is the old original yard, and he's been with me ever since I started training, 20 years in fact. I inherited Graham Skeets, who was living here when Michael was here, and formerly been with Arthur Stevenson and ridden quite a few winners himself. He's in charge of the second new yard, which is the Astor yard, and Billy Keenan is in charge of the Barton yard. And then there's another small yard, but they've all got their own head lads and second head lads and an assistant trainer in each yard, so it does work extremely well. Well, they can speak to one another from various yards, so they know exactly what time they're pulling out, and we've got it all timed at where they meet and everything else. And that's one of the reasons where you saw the horses going around the little belt of trees, that's the future meeting place so you can sort out what you're going to work and send them in different directions.
And what are the main advantages of a private training establishment like Manton over the training centres like Lambourne or Newmarket?
Well, you can pick your ground where you're going to go. You can prepare it by either watering it or working on the peat moss. You've got no one else to get there in front of you. You can pull out exactly what time you like. We've got 16 miles of horse tracks for horses to walk on. I mean, there's everything you could want here. I mean, there's indoor rides, there's watered gallops, you've got all-weather gallops that could be sprinkled. And you haven't got to bother about anybody else.
I think it's the variety of the gallops here that makes Manton so exceptional.
Well, of course, this was all studland years ago, but this is, it's a perfect sort of climb for a horse coming up there. A nice bend to it.
And you wouldn't want them to go too fast here, a steady canter?
No, it's an ordinary canter, nice swinging canter, that's all. I never gallop horses on it, but I must say that they move well and they like it.
Horses do seem very relaxed here. They love the quiet
Well, it's a good
atmosphere.
environment for them, isn't it? Yeah. So they should do well. If they can't do well here, they wouldn't do well anywhere, I don't think.
Nothing seems to bother them.
No. But they don't get upset when they go to the races when they see a lot of crowds and people, and they take that. They have plenty of music here, and we've got music in the indoor rides and have music in the sort of barns. They get used to plenty of noise and commotion.
Barry, this would be something that most people wouldn't have seen, watering an all-weather gallop.
Well, he obviously keeps it in perfect condition. As you know, it's a sawdust-based gallop. I had one in Lambourne before I ever came here, but this was put in by my predecessor, Michael Dickinson, and Brian Spink, who organises the gallops here. And normally, obviously, we do this late at night, because it's better to water in evening time. And it's on for about 20 minutes, and it's only done when the ground is very dry and keeps the ground in good texture, and it's rolled, and it's very good for the work. We're going to canter up to the right of the middle. Yeah. There's no markers there. Yeah. All right? Just canter up there steady, and then you can walk on down, and then they go on the valley gallop, and they can trot along the valley and hack up by the fences to the top there. Okay. All right? And then pull up and take a turn there.
On looks and pedigree, these 2-year-olds preparing to work in mid-morning offer rich promise for the future.
I affirmed at the Queen of Cornwall. There's another Lomond. St Helena Czar. Sadler's Wells had a snow day. Caught by Habitat.
Do you bandage them all just as a precaution?
Yeah, I think it helps to prevent sore shins. It's nice for the horses to be out with the sheep and cattle and everything else, and sort of nice relaxed attitude.
Send them up in bunches to sort of educate them?
Yeah, when the ground's good, yeah. Good for them. They don't want to go too fast on this ground. These have just been going very steady. They've been coughing and don't know very much. But there's no point in sort of getting decent potential horses jarred up to start with. Getting their minds wrong and everything else, and they've got to like what they're doing. Temperament is a big thing in the game, apart from ability.
Yeah. Now you're thinking all the time of the classic races and the best races at 3, so you don't switch them on at 2.
No. If they can show they'll go, they'll be able to go in sort of August, September. Plenty of good 2-year-old races then. Well, it is very rewarding, as I say, and obviously what we really need now, is the most important thing, is a couple of proper champions, and you know, one's got to be patient enough to just wait for them to come along. But the 2-year-old crop we had last year were never a very exciting bunch, but I must say that the 2-year-olds this year look a much better lot altogether. I mean, they're better bred and they've got better wheels and more class about them, so maybe next year would be a different kettle of fish, or later in the season. So if you walk down and go through the trees and then up the Sunken Drive. I wouldn't think there'd be a training establishment in the world equivalent to this, personally.
The sense of tradition and destiny at Manton will surely be fulfilled by the horses Barry has assembled here in this unrivaled setting.
50 to 1, full show.
Well, Handsome Sailor, favourite there at 4 to 1, and his trainer Barry Hills has made a sparkling start to the season from his new quarters at Manton. 20 winners already, and the second in the Oaks and the fourth in the Derby. Last weekend I went down to see that famous old stable. Manton today is a magnificent mixture of ancient and modern. The old yard remains the focal point of what's now a colossal operation. Elsewhere on the estate, there are no fewer than 150 horses. When Michael Dickinson left last November, it created the challenge of his life for Barry Hills, who overnight became the new master of Manton and the magnificent Manton House. The estate is a community in its own right, with all the public and private amenities of a small village. Most of the staff live on the estate, which houses over 100 people. It was the old yard that housed horses like Scepter, Bayardo, Gay Crusader and Gainsborough in the great days of Manton in the first quarter of the century. Now Manton, reconstructed by Michael Dickinson, has a very different appearance. The new modern American barns would have bemused the old wizard of Manton, the legendary Alec Taylor. Nowadays horses foregather from all over the estate to create one giant cavalcade for morning exercise. The horse who's made the most spectacular progress under Hills is Handsome Sailor, ridden here by the former North Country jockey Graham Skeets. Last season, Handsome Sailor was running in handicaps. Last month, he won the prestigious Duke of York Stakes, beating the much-vaunted Hallgate. Now he comes to the Royal Meeting with a real chance of upsetting the younger horses. I watched the good-looking colt have his final blow before the big day. Like most sprinters, he's an explosive ball of controlled energy, and now tuned to the peak of fitness. Unlike a work morning at the big training centres, there's not another horse to be seen. Barry, how easy or otherwise has it been to come and train horses at Manton after 20-odd years or so at Lambourne?
Well, nothing's quite easy. I mean, I always thought that I'd be training plenty of winners when I came here, but it is quite different. Although the gallops were downs at Lambourne, and I mean, there's a vast amount of area here, and to find your little ways around and get into a routine, I think it's going to take a few months, really.
To what degree have the facilities created by Michael Dickinson helped you?
Well, as I said, just the 9-furlong new all-weather sawdust gallop is perfect to work any horse on. The peak moss gallop he put in, I've used a couple of times. It rides very well. You can irrigate the gallops here, which is a help. I've only watered a couple of times this spring, but I really haven't had the need to at the moment, but probably in the summer I will. But I've just put around about 100 tons of peat moss on some of the Clatford gallops and try and make some peat moss gallops there for the summer.
You've got an amazing range of gallops, a terrific galloping ground, so it must be a terrific job maintaining them.
Well, I've got 4 very good gallop men. Brian Spink, who's the head gallop man, does a wonderful job, and he's very, very keen and very proud of his area, and so he should be. But we shall improve the gallops, and Michael did a good job in doing a lot of things he did. I mean, the Aqueduct Bend, or Belmont Bend, as anyone like to call it, I mean, he did a very good job of that. It's perfect to ride around.
Well, now, Handsome Sailor is already winning the Duke of York Stakes. So how good is he?
Well, I think he's an improved horse. Last year he spit a past him when he won his last race, you're reading the Black Book. But he was a little bit unlucky at Newmarket in the spring. I think the ground helped him at York just to get his toe, and he likes to just get the toe, and he wouldn't want it too soft, but he wouldn't want it that firm either. So we want a bit of luck with that, because I think he's got a good chance.
And your runner in the Norfolk Stakes Gallic League, how good's he?
Well, he's one of the fastest 2-year-olds I've ever trained. I mean, he's very impressive to watch at his homework, and he won 2 races very impressively. He gets a little bit impetuous in the stalls, and I think we've got over that now. Asmussen has been on him several times, and he's behaved beautifully since. And he's had this little problem the last couple of days, but hopefully we'll get him to the race. And I think he's perfect now.
Barry Hills there, and here is Handsome Sailor. Certainly the ground's come right for him, perhaps almost too much so. Well, Charlie Nelson saddles a powerful opponent in Minestrella, who comes back today to what was certainly her best distance last season.
Racing down now inside the last 2 furlongs, and Polonius the leader from Minstrel, and they're clear of Naive Charm and Indian Lily as they race now towards the furlong marker. Polonia being pressed by Minstrel on the far side. Neck and neck, Polonius just the leader.
It's purely a financial decision. It was a very hard decision. I love the place, but as the owner of Manton, it cost me $13,000 a year to keep a horse in training there. And it cost friends like Bill Gradley and Sir Ernest Harrison, Sheikh Mohammed, you name it, Sheikh Abdullah, it cost them $10,000 a year. So it was purely economic. I mean, if I'm paying $13,000 to pay to keep a horse in training, it's really rather stupid to own the place.
You say it's a financial decision to sell. Were the rewards on the racecourse not obtainable, do you think?
Good question. We didn't come up with any Group 1 winners. No, good question. That was not considered, though. I mean, I'll still hopefully be able to keep horses at Manton in the next 10 years. It was just a capital sum that was outlaid there that if, say, one got it on deposit, one would be earning enough to keep the horses in training for, for the next 20 years without having to keep shelling out from the financial trust.
Racing in England has taken a different shape in the last half dozen years, one might say, with the Arab involvement. How significant is the Arab involvement in you curtailing your racing interests?
I haven't curtailed, so I don't agree. It just makes it harder to win races, but I'm a very competitive man, and I'm all for competition. There's no question that I read in the Evening Standard and 1 or 2 papers that I was capitulating. No, I'll keep more horses in training and try and win more races. No, it's definitely not a question of the competition. The competition I love, I mean, I'd like to still keep on battling, and I will do.